Today's work looking at writing linear equations with parallel and perpendicular lines. So there are three types of lines, pairs. There's the type where they never intersect. We call those parallel lines. We use this symbol, two little parallel lines going straight up and down. That means parallel. Second type is the lines intersect, and when lines intersect, they intersect at exactly one point. And the third type is perpendicular lines, where they form this perfect X or T, and they meet at right angles. This little symbol here indicates that's a 90-degree or a right angle, and we call these perpendicular lines, and the symbol for perpendicular is this upside down T. The key part of that is when we have parallel lines, because they run side by side, they're going at the same slant, they have the same slopes. So if I know two lines are parallel, then I know they both have the same slope. So if I knew one line had a slope of 2/3, and I was told there was another line that was parallel to it, that line would also have a slope of 2/3. When two lines just intersect at a point, they have two different slopes. So 2/3 and 3/4, 2 and -2, 3/4, 4/3. Those are all lines that intersect at one point. When we have perpendicular lines, the slopes of those two lines are opposite reciprocals. Opposite reciprocals. Opposite meaning they have one is a positive slope, one is a negative slope, and reciprocal means their fractions are flipped. Another way to define that is if you multiply those two slopes together, the product of that multiplication would be -1. So an example would be a line with a slope of 2/3 and a line with a slope of -3/2. These are opposites because one's positive, one's negative. They're reciprocals because their fractions are flipped. And if I check the product, I multiply, I get -6/6 equals -1. Another example would be 4 and -1/4. The key thing there is when we have a whole number, we could write it as a fraction with a 1 on the bottom. So when we take the reciprocal, it'd be 1/4. So when we use that information and we look at today's work from our study guide, we see that we use yesterday's work where we knew if we had a point and the slope, we could use that information to find b by using the formula right here, y equals mx plus b. Slope is m. The point gives us an x and a y. We find b, and we write the slope of the equation as y equals the slope, -2 times x plus the b, 13. So how do we use it down here? In number 1, we have a point and we have a slope. Now it says the line that we're talking about that we want to write the equation for is parallel to this line right here. Well, this line right here has a slope of 1/2. So this line we're talking about also has a slope of 1/2. So we do the same thing we did yesterday. We'll go y, which is 2, equals the slope, which is 1/2, times the x, which is -4, plus b. And we'll solve for b. Once we do that, we can write our equation. Number 2 is similar, but this time it says it's perpendicular, not parallel. So we're going to take this slope right here. The slope of this is -3. We're going to put it over 1. And we're going to take the opposite reciprocal for the slope of the line that's perpendicular. So the slope of the line will be 1/3. And we use the same process. Y equals mx plus b. 1 equals 1/3 times 3 plus b. 3 and 4 are similar. One's parallel, one's perpendicular. but this time they don't give us the slope, so we got to calculate it. We know it's the change in y over the change in x. So we'll calculate this slope. We'll use that slope with this x and y. We'll find our b. We're home free. Number 4, same thing, calculate the slope, but then we got to find the perpendicular, so we have to take the opposite reciprocal, and then we'll use that with our x and y, and so on. That should get you going. A couple of the ones in the middle are a little challenging. Give it a shot. If you absolutely get stuck, don't worry about it. I'll show you how to do it tomorrow, but give it a shot. If you can't do 5, try to get something started, put something to paper, bump to 6, try that, you get stuck, bump to 7, bump to 8. Okay, should be able to get some of these done. And again, if you get stuck, I'll clear it all up on Thursday in class.